Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, you're still on To The Press, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. And like we told you before, when we come back, we're going to be joined by a guest with whom we're going to be doing the analysis of some of the headlines that we have read to you. We have Femi Jubal in the building. He's an entrepreneur and the president of the Lifting Brothers Foundation. You're welcome to the press.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's good to have you on the program today. And you know, it's been a week of twists and turns, talking about at some point the fuel scarcity, the Naira scarcity. At some point last week, Nigerians were complaining about the scarcity of the new notes. But mid this week, it got to its crescendo. Nigerians could not access both the new currency or the old currency, and it brings the big question: what the whole policy is all about. Because most Nigerians are beginning to saying that if you are bringing in any policy, the primary reason of such policies should be making life easy for Nigerians. But on the back of what we have seen in recent times, we cannot actually say this policy has gone as planned. Some Nigerians are even alleging that it could have been for political reasons, because there's been a lot of accusation and counter-accusation from the political elite, including the ruling party. What's your take on this whole scenario?
Thank you very much, Francis. Now, the first thing is every policy of government, regardless how beautiful or ugly they are, must be built on effective institutions and system. So that's like the foundation. So if you don't have that foundation, there is no way you can effectively execute that policy. Because one of the things that we have experienced this week regarding this policy of Naira and all that is the fact that even the banks were not ready for this. So now you discover that e-transactions was becoming too much for the banks than they could handle. So it resulted in that there are many transfers that have done transactions this week. They have not seen it. So the problem is we don't have an effective system and institution. So we keep making policies, and those policies are actually good policies. But then because the institutions and the systems are not well structured and in place, they are not functional. And that's the more reason why people would always not give in their ultimate trust. Because then
the policies.
Yeah, because another thing is a lot of things, everything has been politicized in Nigeria. Until Tinubu started crying that, you know, some people are trying to sabotage him. People thought that he was part of this whole, you know, propaganda. So for you to get the trust of the people, you must first build effective, functional institutions and systems. And that's the foundation. And until we do that, we'll keep making good policies that are not, you know, perfectly executed, and people will not trust in those policies.
So you're saying that the issue starts not just with the people now, it begins with the bank. So if the banks do not trust the central bank and Nigerians do not even trust the bank, that means this policy is going to take a very long time.
Exactly. Like I said, it's the law of cause and effects. Like the problem with Nigeria is we're always addressing the effects of something. What about the root cause? So your policy can be the most beautiful, and we have a lot of great policies in Nigeria. But like I said, there are no functional, effective systems and institutions built around holistic perspective. They're always built around, a lot of people they think about CBN, they look at Emefiele. That's the person they see. Because it's built around an individual. So people don't really have any trust in it.
But then if we look at the whole scenario, I was in a conversation with someone I think late last year, and I was complaining about the brain drain happening in the banking industry, because at some point that period, just like now, so many transactions kept on failing. And out of curiosity, I reached out to a friend of mine in the bank, and he told me most of their tech guys who are running their servers the tech guys who are running their servers, who are running their e-transaction systems, most of them are moving abroad. Most of them are moving, are seeking greener pastures. And just like you said, now that most of the transactions you've done in recent times have been has been failing. Now, what do you think at this point now that everybody has been badly hit by this very policy? Because I would say it's just a section of a minute portion of the Nigerian populace now that are not really affected by this very policy. Now, what do you think Nigerians can do now to be able to cushion the effect of this ill-timed policy? Because in the middle of this, we saw a video of a bandit leader showcasing the new Naira notes and even bragging to have more of it. Now, Nigerians who are working legally do not have access to this new Naira note. But this bandit leader who should be on the run is busy wielding this Naira note and even bragging to have more of it. Now, how did this Naira note get to these criminals?
Now, the truth is, like, our problems are accumulated problems. They are problems that have been in existence over the years. So every government takes the problem to a whole new dimension without providing, creative solution to the problem. I remember what Sani Abacha said. He said for terrorism, insurgency to last for 24 hours, the government must be involved. So we have seen a lot of dramatic events in Nigeria in the last 8 years, not just 8 years, in the last 20 years. And it seems as though our problems are too complex to be solved. And it goes back to what I said. We must first build. Barack Obama said it when he first became president in his first tenure, when he went to Ghana. He refused to come to Nigeria. He said, for Africa to work, we must build functional institutions that are not built around individuals. So when you look at, a state, for instance, it's not built around the governor. Another thing is education. We don't have a level of orientation in Nigeria. Like, for instance, I told you that many of the transactions I did have not, successfully been executed. But I'm going to get my money back. How? Because I have information.
Definitely.
I know that there is a CBN policy that states that when I am debited and it is not successful, there is something I can do. But the problem with a lot of Nigerians is we don't study, we don't read, and then we make it look like the problems are too complex and they are beyond solution. So it boils down to the same thing I said from the beginning: effective functional systems and institutions, and then people must, orientation. We must learn how to study your constitution. When they tell you that there is a policy of the government, read it, but then it takes us to trust. People don't believe that any good policy can be implemented in Nigeria. So the first thing is mental orientation, because personally I believe that our biggest problem is a mental problem.
So, okay, sorry to cut you short, Francis. You said our biggest problem is a mental problem. But who do we hold responsible, or who do we drag to the psychiatric hospital now for this situation that Francis mentioned, the issue of bandits holding large amount of the new Naira notes, and they were boasting about it. So who do we hold responsible for that particular situation?
When it comes to the security architecture of Nigeria, for instance, many of us, we are actually, the truth is, as much as we have information, we are ignorant. We don't know what is going on. We just see the drama, we see the display on social media, on TV stations and all that. But when it comes to that aspect, this is what I believe: Nigeria needs a complete overhauling. That's why the next election is very monumental, is very, very important. Because things like this cannot be happening. And we have NIA, we have DSS, we have Nigerian military, we have this, and we have NIN. We have national identification number, we have BVN, and people use their phones to make phone calls, to transact, for hostage and all that, and then nobody's doing anything about it. But like I said, we are just, average citizens who don't have access to a lot of the complexities of the security situation in Nigeria. So we need a government that would say that, no, it is time to address this. Because personally, I believe this is business. At the end of the day, this terrorism is working for a lot of people in the position of power. That's one. Then two, if our mental orientation problem, because many people are disoriented in Nigeria, and that's fact. Poverty, a whole lot of things have happened over the years has constituted to this brain damage for a lot of people. If I become the president of Nigeria, for instance, to address that, and that's one of the things we're doing in Brothers Lifting Brothers Foundation, mental orientation. There are many people, over half of the Nigerian population are suffering mental problem, and nobody is thinking about it, because for you to exhibit some action and some behavior, it should be, it can be traced, it can only be traced to something that went wrong in your mentality.
Okay, now let's still talk about reorientation or reorienting our mental health. And you made mention of Brothers Helping Brothers
Brothers Lifting Brothers.
Okay, Brothers Lifting Brothers Foundation, that what you do is mental reorientation.
That's part of the things that we do too.
So how do you go about that? Because now, let's say we are trying to make it reach other people, like the over 200 million Nigerians that we have, but we know that not everybody is in the Brothers Helping Lifting Brothers Foundation. So how do you go about that? And what to what extent do you do that mental reorientation?
Okay, so on a small scale, what we do is, for now, there's a bigger picture, but on a small scale, we organize events, online, offline. You know, I go online most of the time to talk about consciousness. If Francis is aware, like last week Sunday, we had an open house where the public could join us, where we talked about identity, knowing yourself, your mental health, your life assignments. So we have a lot of programs like that on a small scale. But on a larger scale, we are going to push a bill to the government, because the truth is, for you to deal with this mental problem, it has to be from the grassroots up there, because the government is a reflection of the people. The current government reflects us as a people at the end of the day, because many of the people in government now, they were not there 20 years ago. Yeah, so the people that will be there 20 years from now are the same people you see on the streets who disobey traffic, who are not kind, who steal money, who bribe, and who do all sorts of things. So we are going to push a bill to the government. We should have a mental orientation center in the 6 geopolitical zones. The same way you have Women Empowerment Center in Abuja, you have some of, we need to have a mental orientation center. People need to be reorientated to salvage what is left. Personally, I believe that we may not be able to, to repair every broken adult, but we can catch them young. We can catch, we can start from people who are from age 6 and tell them about patriotism, citizenship, what it means to be an active citizen. It does something to their orientation as they grow up.
But then, because I asked this question because I want to know how far the impact of this mental reorientation goes. Because we also know that we have the issue of, let's take for instance, I'm going to focus on poverty. If I am poor and have not eaten, there's nothing you will tell me. My brain is hungry. And if I have not eaten, no matter the effort you put into trying to restructure my mind, I don't think that's going to work. So you've been making mention of the fact that we need mental reorientation in Nigeria. But would that ever solve the problem? Because if we keep reorientating people mentally and they're not eating, after reorient, I don't go to school. I'm still like I was yesterday. You've wasted all your effort in trying to restructure my mind. So I think, yes, mental orientation is important, but then it's a long chain of issues before it even gets to mental reorientation, because yes, poverty is one. And if let's say for instance, people making 1,000 naira out of 10,000 naira withdrawal charges, they need mental reorientation, because they know that, oh, this you should do this because you're trying, aside the fact that you're doing your job, you are trying to get this new Naira note into circulation. You don't necessarily have to make big out of it, because that's what they are aiming for. But then they need this money,
and it's part of the mental orientation. It is because it's a mental problem for you to want to take advantage of every situation.
But they need the money.
Yeah, but then with or without this, you are still going to be able to sustain your business.
How do you know that? Because we can't take away poverty from the Nigeria issue.
Seizing every opportunity to rip people off, to extort money from people, is a mental problem. So it's a holistic thing. For instance, last week we did a community service. There is a young man. When you watch videos of saner climes and developed societies, I don't know what we learn from there. Like, you see how they pay attention to the little things. You see a girl who has Down syndrome. They bring her to a basketball game. This thing, it does a lot to the mental orientation of the younger generation. So this guy is always at Gadua Junction controlling traffic. I've seen him several times. People fight him, they insult him. He is helping you. He's not taking money from government, but you are insulting him because you're trying to disobey traffic, and he's insisting that you will not, because he's passionate about what he does. And when they to appreciate someone like that, so social welfare is part of the things that we do, but it begins with your mindset. As a man thinketh, they can feed you forever, but if your mindset is wrong, you will never be an active, responsible citizen.
All right, now I would like to combine two questions in one because we are fast running out of time. As someone who is into the real estate industry, something happened in Gwarinpa yesterday, and as at this material time, 2 lives has been lost, and 40 persons are still trapped. I'm talking about the building collapse in Gwarinpa yesterday's afternoon, and the Federal Housing Authority has blamed the developer for violating the building plan. You know, the Federal Housing Authority, they have been charged by the federal government to make sure that all buildings in Abuja are built according to the plan and with the right materials. But then, if the Federal Housing Authority has alleged now that the developer did not build according to plan, violated the plan, don't you think it's a failure on the part of the Federal Housing Authority in terms of failing to set up the necessary mechanisms to see that every building they are built to specifications? What do you think about this whole scenario? Because why I'm asking this is because there's been a rise in the trend of building collapse, and once if we do not arrest the situation, if we not arrest the situation in time, there will be loss of lives, properties, and it's not going to project Nigeria in good as a serious country in the international community. What's your take on this?
Goes back to Nigeria, great policies, ineffective non-functional systems and institutions. So now individuals think that they are more powerful than the whole system, because some kind of bribery would have taken place. Some people money would have exchanged hands. I'm not, but this is for you to be given a responsibility as FHA to monitor a process. And the developer succeeded in doing that, not according to plan. Some things would have exchanged, some transactions took place. And like I said, these things, we may not be able to get over these things until we become responsible citizens and have systems that work. Because I tell you the truth, there are so many properties in this city that are built not according to plan. So, and I may be wrong, but the fact is the civil service in Nigeria, which is meant to be the brain box of the government, is the most ineffective and the most corrupt entity in Nigeria. So someone can just go and give somebody some bribe, and then, that's it. You can do whatever you want. And then loss of lives and properties, injury and all that, So it boils down to systems, institutions that are not answerable to individuals, but answerable to, we have beautiful policies in Nigeria. It's execution, because they are non-functional systems.
All right, now let's move away from that. We've had callers on the line. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the press.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and make your contributions.
Okay. I quickly want to render my voice to what we are talking about.
Okay.
Yes, no doubt that we have mental campaign. I will put it that way. This country, because somehow it's funny how you adult, mature people saying certain things that you don't really expect from them. Even they did not go to school at all. You expect that at their age there are certain things they shouldn't say, and there are certain decisions they shouldn't take. But sometimes I also see it as not solely mental challenge. I see it as deliberate action.
Okay.
Because these same people go outside the country and they behave themselves. And when they come back to Nigeria, they just do anything and believe that nothing can happen, and truly nothing will happen. So I think we have a system that we have not truly gotten a leader that know what it takes to lead.
Okay.
At some point, you discover that when Jonathan came, there's this mental correction that people do take on their own without looking for somebody to tell them what to do. But sometimes, certain things started changing. We started going back to what we don't do before. And this person that is there, at some point we felt, okay, being a military of before now, or being somebody that has been in government, he should know certain things to correct. Having been there, what error he has made in the past, or he see somebody has made, he should correct it. Then what did we get? Things are happening even under his nose. He can't see it. He don't know what to do about it. You see so many ministers that committed activities and nothing happened. Don't we have agencies that are supposed to handle this publicity? They're supposed to correct Nigeria, educate Nigeria. What have they been doing? Nobody has been punished. So many things are just wrong, and I feel it's deliberate. It's not really that we have this mental issue the way we look at it. Yes, there are challenges, but I think the major part is that many people do things deliberately wrong and nothing happens. So they keep doing it because nobody is punished.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution.
Can I
yes, please go ahead.
Let's juxtapose mental orientation and functional system, so we can strike a balance. Now you go to countries outside Nigeria, advanced countries, and then you have their traffic lights functioning everywhere. Everything is functioning. They don't need one person, to tap their finger before something works. So now it is easier, because now it is easier for people to develop a healthy culture that propels the society in the right direction. So mental orientation is essential, but I'm not saying that functional system is also not essential, because human beings are very hard to manage. It is easier. You have seen a picture where a herdsman was carrying rams, and the rams were going through the pedestrian, but human beings were crossing the highway. So human beings are very hard to manage. So as much as we need this mental orientation, we also need to have a functional system. When these two things work pari passu, then the results are unimaginable.
But then we've seen situations and places in Nigeria where we have traffic lights that are functional, but then people still cross the light without even you are seeing it clear that this is red.
But for me, I think if I travel to another man's country and nobody tells me, nobody forces me to obey the laid down rules, and I come back to my country and I feel like I can do whatever I like because I'm in my country, then it's, for me, it's it has to do with the mindset and the mental issue, because I cannot say, because when I'm here I'll do the right thing, and that same right thing that I will do here that will make life seamless here, I will refuse to do it because I feel like I can do it and go scot-free.
Exactly. Countries that are working, they have structures that have consequences. So it's not just about there is traffic lights. Now if I disobey traffic lights, there is no consequence except
we've seen some of our ministers who use the train,
exactly,
who use the Uber in developed countries.
Exactly, they ride bicycles.
But we see how much they disobey the traffic rules here. How with the convoys and
very long queue of convoys.
So the problem is Nigeria. We're not that, when it comes to our mental orientation, we're not that advanced. But countries that are even more advanced than us, they have technology in place that if you disobey traffic, there are consequences. You will be fined. But here there are. Why do people obey traffic in those places? Whether the policeman is there or not, if you disobey any traffic law,
you'll be caught.
You will be caught. They will get you. But here nobody gets you. So everything is done haphazard. Everything is we cannot. Our traffic light cannot function for 48 hours. So come on, what are we saying?
All right, now let's move away from that and head into the issues of politics for a bit. This headline on The Nation this morning says El-Rufai, Fashola and Fashola say Buhari backing for Tinubu is solid, and this is coming days after we saw and heard that forces in the villa are trying to pull down or
sabotage the Tinubu's presidential campaign.
So this and the both of that, the two scenarios are not working together. And then you will now wonder, why would that first instance come up in the first place? Why would there be claims of the president sabotaging his own party presidential campaign candidate? But then RFI, as always, will support or will always back the president. And Fashola, they are coming to say, okay, his backings for Tinubu is solid. But then I want us to also touch this particular, because we've seen manifestos and campaigns are ongoing. These presidential candidates are making lots and lots of promises. But the president said, no one government can fix Nigeria's problems. Because this headline also attaches another one that says APC candidates restates commitment to job creation, credit facility for businesses, and all of the promises that he made. What are your thoughts on this?
The problem is the government has played us, because they think that the vast majority of Nigerians are not that smart. Politics is a game. That's why they call it a game.
So, sorry, just before you continue, if you look at the amount of people that converge in these rallies, do you still want to say the people believe the government has played them?
No, the people are trying to survive. Now, most of the rallies that you are seeing, there are mobilization fees as low as 1,000 naira.
Wow.
So that's why you don't judge the success of a candidate by the number of people that are attending, you know. So and the government politicians are aware. They have weaponized poverty. And that's why you have all these rhetorics and all these politically correct statements. They have to release a statement because they think that the majority of people are fools. Based on President Buhari's public action, it is almost impossible for you to believe that he is supporting Tinubu. That's it. I'm not anti any political party or for any political party, but Nigerians must rise to the point where we're able to use our intellect to reason, because these people think that we are not smart, and that's why they think they can use us. And if Buhari is doing this, maybe he's trying to leave a legacy after knowing that probably the 8 years of his government is monumental failure. Maybe he wants to use this election as a legacy. But can I tell you what? You cannot mess up a country for 8 years. And then you now want to use one thing. And that's why a lot of people are gullible. And it boils down to the orientation I was talking about. You cannot mess a country up for 8 years. Nigerians are suffering in Dubai. They are being denied work visa. The government has not made any statements. You know, we don't really care. A Nigerian was killed in broad daylight in Italy last year in the afternoon. Nobody said anything from the government. And then all these things happened. The disregard for lives and properties. And then you think you can use the election. And then you have a lot of Nigerians who think the enemy of my enemy is my enemy. Oh, because he's against Tinubu, I don't like Tinubu, then he's a good man. No. We have to quit this low-life thinking and be people. We have to be able to, you know, regard intelligent, creative criticism of government. That's very important. So this RFI statement is just a politically correct, you know, let's just say this so people don't think it is irrelevant.
So at this point now, you've said that RFI statement is let's just take it as a politically correct statement. And now on the final note now, the presidential election is just a little over 2 weeks away now. What will be your advice to Nigerians as we head into the 2023 general elections? Because I think a whole lot is still going to play out, and the political scene is getting really heated up right now, to add to the fact that Nigerians are not actually happy. And before it was the fact that we do not have money, money. But beg your pardon, all of a sudden Nigerians now have money, but no access to the money. What will be your parting word to Nigerians?
Two things: responsible citizenship. That's number one. Now, we have been told for several years that Nigeria is a creation of God. And that's a lie. God did not create Nigeria.
Why would you say so?
God created the heavens and the earth. As for people who believe, religious people, He did not create Nigeria. Nigeria is a creation of human beings like you and me. They came to the table of negotiation and said, okay, we're going to earmark these people, put them together and call it Nigeria. So it means that we are responsible to fix Nigeria. Citizen participation, active citizenship. So prayer does not fix a nation. People attack me for saying this. Prayer does not fix any country. A country is fixed by the contributions of the individuals in that country, because it is the people that make up a nation. Even in the holy books, the Quran and the Bible, God has delegated the responsibility of carving out geographical locations and building a nation to you. God would not do for us what He has given us the power and the audacity to do for ourselves. That's number one. Number two, no one government can fix a country. It is the participation of government and the people. That is what will, fix a country. So expecting that a government will come in 2023 and then all our problems will be solved, that is a fallacy. We must ensure that we vote for the right people. We must check track records. We must not be sentimental and emotional. We must not be tribalistic and religious about it. We must vote with our conscience as people who want a better Nigeria. We have nowhere to go at this moment, except for people who want to japa. There are some of us who can japa, but we don't want to japa. So since we don't want to do that, home is the best place to be. So you must vote based on your conscience. Whoever you are convinced that you should vote for, then vote for the person. And then, but don't, one of the things I tell people is, don't raise, when it comes to politics, lower your expectation. In 2015, you see Buhari's campaign? In 2015, Nigerians had as much hope as they have now. In 2015, what has happened? So lower your expectation. Let us. Someone said that Nigeria is the reason why a lot of people are crying is because they are not participating in the corruption. Somehow that may be true. So it is important that you lower your expectation. Politicians created all our problems. How are they going to fix it? You think they want you to have light? And then don't forget international interference in our polity. We have read articles, verifiable articles that said that America is involved in the Boko Haram thing. It is a CIA covert operation. So we are not just looking at it from the Nigerian perspective. There is also the West that do not want Africa to be stable, because our stability is their loss. But when we are stable as Africa, then we win and they lose at the end of the day. So we have to look at it from a holistic point of view. So in 2023, that might be the beginning of a great Nigeria. It is not that after 8 years whoever becomes president will now make Nigeria great. No, that might be the beginning of a great Nigeria.
Now, I want to ask something, because we're just like 22 days to the general elections, and since at the beginning of this conversation you've been talking about mental reorientation. So taking mental reorientation and putting it in these presidential elections coming, do you think we're ready?
Well, I don't think we are ready. Can I tell you the truth? There are, when you look at the candidates, there are no saints amongst all of them. I remember when the story of Rome, what's the man's name again? The Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, and there was a Roman emperor that said, I want you, Marcus, to be the next emperor. And Marcus said, no, I'm a soldier. And he told him, so you have a son, let your son be the emperor. And the emperor told Marcus Aurelius was the emperor, he told this soldier and said, my son cannot be emperor, you should be. Because you have not been corrupted by the politics of Rome. So if we are really ready, we will go for someone. I'm not advocating for anybody. We will go for someone who has not been corrupted by the politics of Nigeria in any way whatsoever. But because we are not ready, we have to now choose between the devils.
Wow.
That's a very sensitive one there. But in all of this, I'll take the part where you said we should not be emotional, we should not be sentimental, and we should ensure that we vote with our conscience right. At this point now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by our second guest